A very special interview today on Strategy Talks. Welcome, everyone. I'm speaking with T90 Official. Welcome, T90.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, so I have a bit of a spiel here I want to read about T90 Official for everyone who's going to be watching this on YouTube later, just so they understand the context of the conversation. So, T90 Official grew up watching his brother play Age of Empires 2 on the computer. After a few years, he rediscovered the game in 2014, where he started playing again. He also began his streaming career this time, starting out in Rocket League as a streamer. Eventually, he made the switch over to casting Age of Empires 2, and in 2016, he uploaded the now famous AoE 2 Forest Nothing What video, which has almost 2 million views now on YouTube. This would begin his meteoric rise to the top of the AoE 2 and Twitch casting scene, surpassing the top stars of the day, such as Renaissance 22 and Zero Empires. In 2017, he began streaming full time, casting pro games, tournament casting, community games, and all sorts of AoE 2 oddities. In 2018, he added tournament hosts to his impressive resume with the Hidden Cup tournament, which had a prize pool of $1,443. With the introduction of Age of Empires 2DE, Hidden Cup 3 now had a prize pool of $50,000 and 50,000 viewers on Twitch, making the event the largest in AoE 2 at the time and making his stream one of the largest on the entire Twitch platform. And today, he enjoys a very comfortable 3,000 to 5,000 viewer average per streamcast with over 221,000 followers on Twitch and over 264,000 subscribers on YouTube, making him officially the biggest content creator in the game. The success of his stream and events was certainly part of the catalyst for a resurgence in interest in Age of Empires 2 by longtime fans, new viewers, and the publisher, Microsoft. With all its immense success, T90 is still regarded by his fans, supporters, and the community at large as a likable, passionate, affable, and sometimes goofy guy that he was even back in his 100 viewers day. So, everyone, welcome T90 Official.
That was I was 100% written by ducks. I was talking to
Yes!
ducks earlier. It was, right? Yeah.
Oh, it certainly was.
Well, that was a good intro. Thank you. I started in 20 I came back to the game in 2013. So like the everything was good and made me
Ah,
sound really
damn.
good, but I
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
the date was wrong. But that's fine. Thank you and happy to be here. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no problem. And on a personal note as well, um, in like I started streaming in May of last year,
We
and
rated you, right?
yes, it was my fourth cast ever. It was like literally my first week. I had streamed the Monday, the Tuesday, the Wednesday. Then I streamed the Friday. And on the Saturday, I was like in the middle of a game. And I'm new to Twitch, right? So I don't even know like what a raid was. So I just looked in my thing. I just saw the chat and I was like, it says, I said, hey guys, T90 Official just raided me. Now I would show the clip, but I am sort of embarrassed because like I wasn't like sufficiently excited enough. I would say, looking back at it, because like we were losing, like my team was literally like flaming me in on voice chat, and I remember I said like T90's rating me, and one guy said, "Oh, well that's great, but we're freaking losing over here," and I was like, okay, yeah. So
That's funny.
this is a pretty important interview for me personally because I don't know if it wasn't for that early raid, I had a first couple of my like longtime viewers now that came from that raid. Like, if it wasn't for that, I don't know if I'd still be streaming today. So thanks to you and your generosity and looking out for newcomers in the community, I can proudly say that Gwen Franco is still a Twitch streamer, like even a year later. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yeah, I mean, I actually remember that. I don't remember every single person that I've rated over the
Right.
6 years, but um, you're not the only one that has like a community now and has started some projects within Age of Empires that actually came from a T90 raid. So,
Ah, nice.
I mean, that makes me very happy.
Yeah, yeah.
To grow the game and have more players and have more viewers is nice, but also to see some of the T90 faithful, hanging out and branching off into these different communities is really cool.
That's very good. I mean, it's certainly in like 10 years, they're gonna just call you the godfather of AoE after a while. Be like,
No,
yeah,
no,
enough time
just
has passed. It's like, yeah, this
just
guy
say
is.
thanks, and that don't make it any more complicated than it has to be.
Okay, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay, but that's enough about me. I want to hear more about you. So, you started playing, watching your brother play. Would it and I was watching the Nelson interview that you did a while ago, and you were sort of saying that he wasn't very like eager to have, well, he wasn't eager to have you around, but you were kind of like the kind of annoying kid brother who was like always asking all the questions. Why don't you tell us a bit about that early relationship with you and your brother and the game?
There's not. I mean, I was very young, so I don't have a lot to really share regarding that. But my brother was like 19 or 20. I'm like 7, so it's like, why'd you do that? What'd you do that? And he's just trying to relax and play a video game. So,
Yeah,
he was nice and he'd share info and whatnot, but also at the same time, he had his own computer, which was like a big deal.
yeah.
So when he would go to work or whatnot, he'd say, "Don't play Age of Empires," and then I would play Age of Empires. In fact, what it was, he actually had a password to get into his computer, but
Right.
sometimes he would forget to like log out. So
Oh,
it would stay up and I could access his game. So every day time he'd leave, I'd run in and I'd see if I could access his game. So I played Age, also played Strongholds a lot, and uh, got Chad. What's the one where the guys are like, oh,
kids are like,
running with
ah,
bombs?
that's like every game.
No, it's like there's one specifically, and it's got Serious Sam. Serious Sam is a classic
Oh,
game. And yeah, so like games like that. But yeah, that was kind of how I initially played, then fell out of love, or I didn't know the game still existed, truthfully. And then 2013, saw a video here or there, and the HD edition came out. Didn't know it was a dumpster fire because I didn't know anything about the game, and that's how it all started. So
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned Serious Sam. I remember when I was like what, like 14, 15, and I got my first computer. That was the first game that I played on it.
okay,
So yeah,
yep.
we got that in common. How old were you when HD came out?
It's funny. It actually came out on my birthday.
Oh,
Um, yeah.
okay.
So I'm not like I'm not the type that would say things are meant to be, but
All
I
right.
would not have been on the Steam workshop or the Steam store. I did not use Steam at all. I did not PC
All
game at
right.
all at that time. I would not have gone to Steam if I wouldn't have received a $20 Steam gift card from my brother-in-law. So, 2013. Oh God. Well, I guess I was 20 at that time. Yeah.
Well, speaking of serendipity, because Docs in his very nice spiel, he mentioned that the success of your stream was actually part of the resurgence of AoE 2 as a whole. If your brother was like an FPS guy and not an RTS guy, the whole thing could have been different because you probably wouldn't have gotten into AoE 2. So I'm actually
Maybe.
gonna credit him actually with the
Credit.
success
You
of
should credit
AoE
my
2.
should credit my parents who gave birth to
Oh,
us.
okay,
Actually.
okay, yeah, yeah.
That's funny.
Okay, yeah. All right, nice. So, okay, so you started playing HD, and then it says here that you played a bit of Rocket League as an early streamer. Um, what sort of made you make a switch into playing Age of Empires 2 and streaming it?
Okay, so the Rocket League thing, I don't know if that's completely truthful. I like to play Rocket League, but at that point I was very much engrossed in Age of Empires 2. So it was still Age was my main thing. And then what would happen is, so I wanted to be known as Age of Empires, so I would stream Age of Empires, play Age of Empires. My channel was growing, not as rapidly as it has over the last year or two, but my channel was growing. And so if I wanted to hang out and play Rocket League, I would stream on a channel which exists today,
Right.
T90Official 2. And so I would stream that for like 10 to 15 viewers, just people who wanted to see me play other games. But then the growth of my channel started to get to a point where people would be searching for me on Twitch,
Yeah.
and T90, if I was live, T90 Official 2 would pop up, and they'd click it and they'd be like, what the crap is this? So I was like, okay, this is too confusing for people. And I stopped. I'm looking right now. So I have 1,100 followers on that account, and actually, there's a VOD from 5 years ago where Dave and I did. There's a 40-minute video from 2016 where Dave and I did Premier League predictions. So I used to have that active, but I never truly dedicated myself to Age of Empires
Okay, hold on.
or Rocket League. Sorry, yeah.
Is my camera here showing up for you? Do you see me on the?
I don't. Okay, so I do not see you, but I have not been looking at your camera. I've been looking at the
Oh, on
stream.
the stream.
So
Okay.
everything. But I guess I just cut out on your stream. So maybe.
Okay, no, but it's back now.
Okay. Okay.
And I
Cool.
can see you, yeah. Okay, all right. So awesome. And I think so in the early days, like who were the other people? Now, okay, so for context, like I am like brand new to Age of Empires 2, right? I started, I mean, of course, like when I was like maybe like 10 years old, I probably played Age of Empires 1 on my like father's
Sure.
computer because, I think back in the day it just came with computers back then. But I really started playing the game like just last year, February. So everything before last year, February, I have literally no idea about. So in these interviews, it's always just cool for me to sort of like learn how things were back then. And I think that's good context for a lot of newcomers to the game as well, especially on YouTube, who'll be watching later on, that they can sort of get my context on the interviews as like a newcomer. So tell me, like back in those HD days, when you were building up your stream, who were the other streamers at that time that were around?
Streamers. So I didn't start making content until 2015. At that time, Zero Empires was still streaming, and he was the biggest. You had Res22. Res would occasionally stream back then. You had Memb, who's still around today and active. Nilly was active. I don't think it was to the same extent,
Right.
but he was streaming at that time, and those are kind of like, if I were to name 4 or 5, those were the names. Um, Dave was around, right? I met Dave
Yeah.
in 2015, and we've been friends ever since. And we started casting together back then, but he didn't really start to stream at all until like the last year. He would like occasionally stream, but actually, here's the interesting tidbit: Viper had quit the game and did not stream back then.
Oh,
Um, and then when he had, so I forget the timeline, but I started streaming 2015. Viper was gone from the game as well as a lot of other pros. Um, like there was a period there where the only big names that you would know was like MBL and Hera playing,
right.
maybe
Oh,
maybe Fire every now and then. Um, but yeah, I don't remember the exact timeline, but I remember Viper was gone from the game for like a 9 to 12 month period, completely gone. Then when he returned and was playing, he would play rated games, but there was no Viper stream. He would never stream. So I was casting, casting, casting. And then it wasn't until maybe a year and a half, maybe close to 2 years after I started streaming, so late 2016, when I think it clicked for Viper, and he was like, "Yo, like
there's
there's
something
some
there.
people out there."
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he started to stream again, and then of course immediately back then, I was doing it for a while, but I was still like small beans.
Yeah.
And so he would just like viewership's amazing, and he was doing his thing, and so it was a motivator for me. I was like, I'm gonna at some point I have to get as many viewers as the Viper, and it took a long time to get there. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, you certainly did very well for yourself. And so in the bio that I read out, it did talk about like a resurgence. So in order for a resurgence to happen, there has to been sort of like a decline or like a sort of failing period.
okay.
Um, so at some point you would have been streaming, and it would not have been clear that Age of Empires 2 is something that has like a lot of longevity in it. Would you say that's the case, or did you always just know, yeah, this game is gonna rise from the ashes, so we're on to something here?
I mean, from a personal perspective, okay, so I would say I don't know a number you'd attribute to it, but right now we have a community, right? If you were to look at
Right.
people, the amount of people that watch streams, the amount of people that watch videos alone, there's a core community there. Might not be as big as other games, but there's people. Back then, it was like you watch Zero Empires videos
Right.
and maybe Res videos. There wasn't much, right? There was not much around there, so I wouldn't say there was like a real core community. To give you perspective, like the the events would typically have a prize pool of $0 to $500, maybe, all crowdfunded from the community. And then your average stream for an event, let's say quarterfinals, there was only one stream for a period of time called Voobly Official, maybe had 150 viewers, 100 viewers. So it was like the problem for Age of Empires was you had Age of Empires fans, they would show up to everything, but people who would make content or would play the game were playing amongst the people who were already there. You needed to expand it past
Right.
that point, right? And so that's where YouTube really helped. And at least in my case in particular, I started to realize that like the trickle effect. So you get 10 new viewers this week, you get 50 new viewers the next week, and so the channel started to grow. And so that was like content creation. I cannot take credit for growing Age of Empires because there's a lot of good content creators out there who are part of this growth. But it really was like if you were to ask someone, how did you find Age of Empires again? A lot of people are going to say I saw a video or I saw a streamer from this person. And so that's where like you started to see the Force Nothing video in particular started to grow my channel more than any other video did at the time. And so it was like that immediately translated into how many people were watching and then how many
Right.
people were playing the game. So,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
sorry, just to finish my thought, I
Yeah. You go
suppose to
on.
circle back to truly answer your question. Because the viewership continued to grow and the channels continued to grow, I was always motivated to continue, and I always felt like I could push to the next barrier. Um, but I never thought it would get this far. I never really thought where's it going to stop, but I never thought that it would get to the levels that it has. Now I kind of feel like I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I could do. I don't know if I can. I think we're good. I don't know if I can push it any further
Right.
in terms of like the peak viewership and whatnot. But yeah. So it really was astounding and surprising. So
Yeah, I mean, pretty amazing stuff. I remember, like before I buy a game, I was like Google it and see like watch some gameplay footage. And I
okay.
remember one of the first clips of Age of Empires I saw was it was you casting a game, and I think the title was something like it was a crazy comeback and it involved Winchester. So I remember Winchester was actually the first AoE 2 Pro that I saw. I was like, oh man, this guy is like insane. And I'm pretty glad I saw a T90 clip because if I saw like a Viper clip where he was like moving all over the screen, I would have been like, this game is it's like 400 IQ, and I'm not anywhere close to possibly be even wanting to attempt that. So I think
Yeah.
it's definitely true that like new viewers, and I remember Nelson mentioned this, new viewers being introduced to the game through you in particular, is sort of like a good introduction. How do you particularly feel about the fact that your streams is so new viewer friendly and maybe not like as hardcore friendly, I would say.
Um. So I think it's correct in the grand scheme of things. I think that I am one of the like if you were to try and convince someone to like Age of Empires, I might be one of the best people to direct them towards. Um, However, that I don't appreciate as much depending on how it's worded and depending on how people feel about it, right? Like
Okay.
that's a compliment, right? That's a compliment. However, to say when people say that at times, it's like, well, T90's for noobs. If
Oh,
you want,
oh,
if you
that's
want
rough.
someone serious or really knows what they're doing or really has talent, you move on to this, right?
Right.
And so, not that that's like a common thing, um, but kind of my goal has always been to be approachable, right? I have
Right.
to break down the game to people who do not understand it too well, but also I have to talk about X, Y, or Z, which is
Yes,
very
of
important
course.
to the people who do know the game really well. So that was actually it's a good topic because when I had 100 viewers, those are 100 diehards who played the game for 5 years, who have all
Yeah.
their hotkeys. Back then, you bought HD, you did a patch, you went to Voobly, it was just all over the place. You're dedicated. But as the viewership started to grow, I'm like, well, crap, like, I'm saying this thing, this person doesn't even know what that is. Like, and I had to figure out a balance there of how do I not water down my casting to
Right.
completely appeal the noobs, but also just kind of do
Yeah.
do it for both. So I'm not perfect with it because that's truly impossible.
Of course.
I can't uh appeal to newcomers and also appeal to the tryhards all the time, but I do my best.
Yeah.
So
Okay, I mean, it's pretty interesting that people will give you that kind of feedback because I think like when you're actually casting like a tournament match, I think it is a bit different than T90 who's doing like a low Elo Legend, for
yeah, yeah.
instance, yeah. So I mean, and I don't think people are necessarily like giving you credit for being able to have like a diversity of style and being and knowing how to appeal to different groups of people. Because as somebody I get in the entertainment space myself, I can tell you it's not like an easy thing to do. So I suppose that sort of begs the question is do you have like a specific like casting philosophy that you or like maybe something that you've sort of developed that you think about and reflect on?
Um, I don't have like a philosophy. I don't have a real build order. My whole life I've just kind of talked a lot, and
Right.
I can like, you give me a topic, most people were like they'll talk about it for a minute and then they run out of ideas. I've just always kind of had a mind that could talk about that one thing for a very long time.
Right.
Um, but I would say that like one thing that has always been fun about casting and fun about breaking something down is kind of challenging yourself to be more creative with it. So like if I ever hit a roadblock on how to describe a situation, I'm like, how can I make this thing, which is very boring, no offense, force nothing. How can I make this one thing that's really boring if you just sit
Yeah.
there and look at it? How can I make that fun right now? And
Right.
so I don't say that out loud, but I it's a challenge and it's fun and it allows me to be more creative the more I do that. So I think that combined with not doing the same thing all the time is really important to me because if I had to do the same thing all the time, I'd get tired of age and I'd get tired of what I do. So that's why I have Low Elo Legends. That's
Right.
why I play try hard off stream. That's why I cast tournaments. That's why I do community games. It's all different. So
Okay. Um Yeah, so I think as somebody who streams as well, that idea that variety in what you're doing could be, and a lot of people think like, well, I need to do this one specific thing and
hmm
really like master and dominate it when you really need to like not burn yourself out. So do you have like any like words like wisdom or advice for like new streamers trying to get into like AoE 2 or even streaming in general?
um well the thing is my philosophy or my mindset suits me,
Right.
but that doesn't mean that you should try and mold what you do after me. Because that might not work for you. That might not be something you enjoy. That might not be something viewers think you do enjoy. The big thing. So I'll back up. So when I first started casting, the caster was Zero Empires. His YouTube channel was the biggest. I think back then it was like 40,000. Actually, I think I'm not giving him enough credit. I think he maybe had like 60,000, 70,000
Okay.
YouTube subscribers.
It's pretty good.
Um, Uploaded commentary, and so anyways, he was the guy. And so I bought my little $15 headset, plugged it into a laptop, started to record crap, which I've since deleted from YouTube, which I wish I wouldn't have. But anyways, and was as I was trying to start casting, I was trying to model myself after Zero Empires, but I'm not Zero Empires. I'm not British. I haven't had the same life, so I can't make the same. I don't haven't had the same experiences. So I guess my advice would be, as I quickly figured out, be your own person and just make your own path.
Nice.
And the other thing that's really important is that you have to enjoy what you're doing for yourself. Like that's got to be priority number one. Anytime I meet someone and tell them what I do, people are like, "Oh, I'm in the wrong business. I would have oh God, I should do that, blah, and I'm like, well, how about you do it for like 4 years straight first before you can even like consider it being a part-time job. And if you make it that far, then you really like it. You have to like what you do. And so that's key number one. So I actually see streamers, um, like if you look at a lot of the big streamers on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, wherever, there are a lot of people who are doing stuff they don't actually enjoy because of the because it's their job now.
Right.
And I really like I would not be able to do it if I did not enjoy it. So I'm glad that I never like I don't know if there was really a path for me to take that would have brought me more success that I wouldn't have liked, but I'm really happy that I could find success and like it. So that's my advice.
Okay.
Don't stress out about viewership. Stress out about what you like to do, and if you get viewership, whatever. If you don't, whatever. That's kind of my advice to streamers.
I mean, that's pretty good advice. And as you mentioned, so you're very fortunate to be able to be doing this for so long, and it's still something that's very enjoyable for you, and you find renewed interest in. Was there any point along the journey where it was starting to not become that case, or were you just always having a smooth experience and just fortunate that way?
Um, I mean, burnout really hit me this past year. But I think the burnout mainly hit me because of the way tournaments have been handled. And I don't know if the viewers in your chat or on YouTube are going to feel the same, but I feel like when the rise of viewership, well, the bigger rise in viewership came in, uh, the way that people quickly realized I can get more viewers if I have an event. And then Microsoft was also like, let's sponsor events. And so what happened was it was just like this flurry of events, right? All the time. For example, we just had Empire Wars Duo 2,
Right.
and we literally couldn't have a team play in the semifinals because they were traveling to get ready for another event. Same
Yeah.
settings, just 1v1. So burnout has occurred for me this year in terms of that. Do I still like to cast? Yes. Do I still like to make videos? Yes. But I'm a little less event oriented right now because I feel like if you have events and show matches all the time, it lessens the importance for the caster and the viewer of each individual one because it's not rare anymore, which is why I don't do hidden cups every 6 months. I space it out, right? Um, but like there are definitely days I don't want to stream, just like any other job, whether I'm just in a bad mood or
Yeah.
lacking energy. There's that, and it also is a very strenuous job. So I can't really say it's not always peachy. But the thing about casting and streaming for me is, yeah. The thing about casting and streaming for me is that if I'm having a bad day and I start casting, I actually have a better day. So that's actually been really
Okay,
nice for me because it's
nice.
like therapeutic in a way.
Okay. Before I go to the next question, just want to thank Movable and Emperor for the raids. Everybody's coming out to support T90 and sort of hear you speak live with us. And for everyone, we do have a Q&A at the end of the interview, so keep your questions in mind, and we will ask them during that section. Not now, because I can't read the chat and save your questions in mind. So yeah, so T90, so it's come up that like back in the day, like Zero Empires, that was the guy. And then at some point you became the guy. Was there a moment where you realized, oh shit, it's me now?
I wouldn't think it's fair to say I'm the guy, really. I mean, there's a lot of
Okay.
people in the community. But I guess like, if you go
Or
off of
one of the
follows
guys.
and viewership, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I never really was like, yeah, I'm the guy. It never clicked. I was just like, whoa, we got Twitch partnership. Whoa, like let's see if we can get 1,200 viewers this time. Like that's it's a very I basically challenged based on what I've already achieved or wanted to achieve. I didn't actually that's not true. I did in some cases try and beat others' achievements, but not like a lot. Like for
Right.
example, I wanted to be the most viewed. I wanted to have the most views out of any Twitch streamer, and I think the record was set initially. So let's see, Hidden Cup 2, 17,619. I remember, I think that was the peak for Hidden Cup 2, set the record.
Nice.
Soon after that, Nilly's NAC event crossed that record, which was the low 20,000s. And so, like, there was always that motivation, that
Oh,
healthy
okay, yeah,
motivation
yeah.
of, all right, I see you, Nilly. Like, all right, that was cool. That was cool. Let's beat that, right? And I think that was Hidden Cup 3 then. And so yeah. Sorry, I got all over the place here. I tend to do that.
No, it's fine. It's
but
going good.
but I never really felt like I was the guy. I never had that moment. It was just always trying to push it to the next level. So
Okay. I mean, so it sounds like a mix of healthy competition and like
yeah,
humility has sort of been propelling you through the years. And I think that's a good lesson for a lot of people. Okay, and let's see. So so just in terms of like your Twitch career, I mean you're sitting at the I think you're the most followed AoE2 streamer on Twitch, right? That's I checked before. I couldn't find anyone that was
I
sitting
was
that
on your
high.
stream when you were checking, actually.
Okay, nice. So there you go. So, I mean, of course, that feels good. And do you have like any specific future plans for like your career as a streamer and I guess esports broadcaster?
um, so I would say that the one thing I need to do a better job at is taking care of myself
Yeah.
alongside taking care of the content. And that's been weighing on me this year. Is like things are bigger than just me now. When I was 22, I lived in a tiny one-bedroom apartment. My PC was cramped in there. I would work all day or go to school, and then I'd spend all my free time Age of Empires. I didn't hang out with friends. I didn't have many friends. It was all I did. Now at this point, like I've been able to become successful, but I want to find a little bit more time to relax, a little bit more time to be able to hang out with friends, a
Right.
little bit more time to, I'm in a relationship now, hang out with my girlfriend. And then along the lines of success as well, it's like I want to be able to take care of my family. My parents are going to be 70 soon. So like things like that. So I'd say like, and I kind of alluded to it a moment ago. I think that I I will be less event focused. I will of course cast events, but also when it comes to like the channel, I just want like healthy, good dive in cast
Okay.
games too. Like like the Legend of Fat Slob was such a revolutionary thing. Someone mentioned it in your chat. Uh I love to do that. And I love like good individual games. Instead of everything being about a best of 5, best of 7, good individual uploads and streams and things like that. So that's kind of where I'm at. It doesn't mean that things are going to change too much, but that's kind of my mindset, I guess. It's changed a little bit to think more about my health and like the people around me in my life, but
Right.
also how I want the content to be seen. So,
Okay, well that's good. So it sounds like you're really doing some more introspective building, working on yourself, working
yeah.
on your
Yeah.
personal life. That's pretty good. And an important lesson for a lot of streamers out there, I see a lot of grinders, playing in like 10-hour days, but gotta work on the mental health and you gotta work on the personals. That's pretty good. So just in terms of now community building seems to be a very important aspect of Twitch and AoE2 for you. As you said earlier, you keep, well, you don't keep track, but you notice that you've been able to help other streamers, such as myself and other people build communities, and you seem to have been very focused early on in sort of growing the AoE2 space and sort of like had that in your mind as you want the game to grow. What has been like your thoughts on community building for AoE2?
um, Hard to give a thought in general because, again, I think this circles back to the individual.
Right.
Some people want to build a community about them grinding to the next elo. Some people want to build a community around them and their personality and like more of a friendship perspective. Um, so again, you can't paint everyone under the same. You can't put them all into the same category. For me, while I love Age of Empires 2, and I that's the content I make and is my number one game, all that stuff. I've also wanted to be very welcoming and make people want to show up regardless of what I'm doing, right?
Right.
So like that's kind of been my focus. Not so I can get people addicted to me in the T90 community and then go play Fortnite. That's not the idea. But like I kind of want what I'm doing to be bigger than Age of Empires. I want there to be a
Yeah.
bigger meaning to just talking about a game. And it's kind of weird because it's not like I give my chat a pep talk. It's not like it's a therapy session, you know. It's kind of hard to put a finger on it, but I kind of feel like in some ways there's a closeness. For me anyways, I could be crazy by the way. People could just be like, "What?" There's no closeness whatsoever. But maybe I'm tricking myself, but for me, it feels like when I stream, there's a closeness there with chat at times. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I've always
Yeah.
wanted to achieve. So that's kind of been my mindset in terms of chat, community, culture, things like
Right,
that.
right.
But again, it's hard. Like I don't truly know these people.
Of
It's
course.
just I just like pick up some things to say in chat, remember their faces, a few stories, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly get where you're coming from. I think I know for me, like I only really started like watching Twitch when I started streaming because before I was
Hmm.
really wasn't aware of like sort of online gaming streaming communities. And it's been I can tell you, well, we're in a global pandemic, so it's been a rough year for me as everyone else. And sometimes putting on Twitch, watching your favorite streamer and just having a good time, it's that's sort of like a therapy there. So I certainly get
Yeah.
what you mean, like building something a bit bigger than the game and than yourself. It's sort of like, it can do things for people that's very positive in their life. And it's good that you look out
Hmm.
for that.
Well, and it also was the other thing is, and I've told this to my viewers for years, it's a two-way street. You know, I wouldn't be approaching it with that mentality if it wasn't also important for me.
Right.
Um, it's always been really important to me. So it helps me. I see people saying that in the pandemic, it made it easier to have my stream. It helped me because I was in a similar boat as well. We were all scared. I didn't know the situation. Granted, I already worked from home, but and I probably wasn't as affected as some of the other people were. But so yeah, it's a two-way street, and that's kind of how I've seen it. Some people don't like that. Some people they prefer I do not go on 2-minute tangents about my cat or whatever story, and that's fine. That's why
Okay, yeah.
you can go to other streams and other
Right,
videos,
right.
but some people do like it. So,
Yeah. I mean, so on that note, I do want to play a clip here that Doc sent me,
oh
if
god,
I just may.
okay.
So I'm gonna play it on the stream, and you can click it there at the same time so you can see what we're looking at. Yeah. Okay, so this is the clip.
And the jokes about the farms and the jokes about all these things have actually helped me become a person who takes life less seriously, who can joke about 3 archer ranges on an island, and how far I've come as a person is because of this. So thank you. And I do not believe that where I am is because of me doing anything. It is because this community has been so welcoming, and in general, just I don't know. I feel very fortunate. So thank you for that. um, and I ask that as this community grows, we don't forget that as a base, right?
Yeah. So there we see a pre-mustache Tristan, and
Also, like minus 30 pounds, Tristan.
and we see a lot of feels in the chat. It was a very powerful moment, I would say. And I think if from just off my memory, because I can actually hear the clip while playing it on the stream. You were talking about how streaming and community building has been like a personal journey for you and a lot of personal growth for you and yourself as a person. Could you maybe like expand on some of the thoughts you had on that clip?
Oh, no way. I can't expand on the emotions I was feeling anyways. Yeah, he did not give me a heads up, by the way, that clip was going to be posted. So it sent me back a little bit. Can you restate the question? I'm sorry, I already forgot.
Sorry, just like that's sort of the idea of personal growth and what streaming has meant for you. If you could just talk to us
Yeah.
a bit about it.
Um,
Also, sorry for blindsiding you there, by the way.
no, it's fine,
Okay,
whatever.
it's fine.
My DE does that to me all the time. Lobbies don't work, the game doesn't work. Trust me, I've
Right.
been blindsided enough, so no worries. All right, so okay, so I guess like a lot of people have said that they kind of watch the content to get through a tough period. The content has helped them whatever which way. For me, it was kind of the reverse, where I started making content, or at least just like casting, as a way to like either forget about the struggles I was having at the time, or kind of like eventually become more comfortable in my own skin. And so I think what I was alluding to there was just that fact right there, that uh, I it has helped me become a better person and like be more me and comfortably. Now, like I said, like when you took that screenshot of me on your stream right now and I retweeted it on Twitter, I was cringing. I was like, ugh, I'm very still not like, it's not like I'm like super comfortable in my own skin and everything,
Yeah.
both like physically, verbally, all that. But when it started, man, I was a wreck. And had some really tough times. I was in and out of school due to those times growing up. And so streaming really helped me find a passion. Um, Streaming casting helped me feel like I had a purpose that I didn't otherwise think I had. And then it was also like a greater purpose when I started to have viewers to affect them. So yeah, I guess like that's kind of what I meant there, was just like I was just very grateful, that I was able to uh achieve those numbers, which was incredible. And 2 months later, my chat told me, or 2 months prior, my chat told me it wasn't possible. I still have that clip. But yeah,
Ah,
I was just grateful. I was just grateful. And so I am still grateful, like, um, even from just the YouTube perspective, that I'm able to put out some good stuff that I get excited about, and people are there to get excited alongside me. Like, oh my God, T90's got this crazy guy who's doing this. Like, let's watch it. That's cool. I like that. I'm very emotional about that stuff, It changed me. I have literally
right.
grown up streaming in many ways. Like 22-year-old T90 is very different than 28-year-old T90. So that's kind of where it all comes back to.
That's amazing, man. Because I do get the impression that since the pandemic started last year, I think Twitch had like 150% gain in viewership in since like March 2020. So I think
Mhm.
like a lot of people are turning to, online spaces, communities like this as sort of like, I don't want to say an escape, but sort of like another option for where they can, maybe not to grow, but just sort of like get some passion. And I know a lot of streamers, starting up their thing, just sort of trying to get some of that. And so I think it's good that you've been able to find it for yourself. And I hope, I hope people sort of follow you along on that journey. So I think you'll have like a lot more to teach us with that. Okay, so earlier you sort of touched on when I asked you about like future plans. We talked about it a bit, but I do kind of want to ask like in like a 10-year trajectory, do you see yourself as still streaming Age of Empires 2, or have you thought about, I don't know, maybe if you'll think about new games, or maybe an adjacent career in esports, maybe something in broadcasting, you have that beautiful cadence that everyone talks about. What do you think?
Um, that was the first, when I first was debating going full time, and right when I went full time, everyone would always ask me, "What's your 10-year plan?" And I'm sorry, that's such a boomer mentality, 10-year plans. Like, I'm pretty sure, regardless of streaming, that no one's going to have, like, in our generation, for the most part, people
Yeah,
are not staying at the same job for 20, 30 years anymore.
yeah,
There's a lot of switching, people change careers. It's a different time. So, um, that was a very scary thing for me. Um, because, like, the reality is I became very popular very quickly,
right.
and the numbers don't lie. I could just, everything could disappear just as quickly. So, but the thing is, I can't think real about that in my position. Um, every day that comes, every week that comes, I just have to do what I can do to control what happens. And so when I went full time, I told myself that I would never not be doing this based on lack of work and trying. So,
Right.
and that's kind of a good mindset to have, I think. And I stole that from some random tweet at some point. But like, if there's a time where I'm not doing this as a job, if I'm not doing Age of Empires, if I don't have a channel, it will not be because I didn't work hard. And then
Okay.
that means I control what I control. And that's kind of that. But as a, but it is an interesting question, because like my dad is 69 years old. Nice. My dad, my dad is 69 years old and still working, right? And so I'm like I'm thinking I'm 28. I'm thinking 35. That's another 7 years. Eh, Am I still going to be doing this then? Am I still going to want to do this then? It's a scary thought. Like even like a little bit further, 45. I don't know. So the reality is like if you look at like celebrities, like Twitch streaming is a new thing, but if you look at celebrities, everyone's got like a solid chunk in the limelight that they have to make the most of. Same of like with like athletes, if you want to make comparisons there. So I'm just trying to make the most of it and enjoy the ride, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, well, that's good. I'm really glad you say that because I myself, I really hate that. What are you doing in 10 years question? I've had to grapple with that
Yeah,
a few times. And I was like, I don't know. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out what the hell
exactly.
I'm doing tomorrow. So yeah, I
Well,
think a lot of people. Yeah, go on.
the thing is as well, bro, it's like that is such a difficult and stressful question because what
Yeah.
it does is it makes you feel like whatever you're doing right now has to be what you're doing in 10 years.
Oof.
And then you're like, "Well, I can't see how that vision is going to lead to me being better off in 10 years." And so you actually will psych yourself out of opportunities. I think in some ways. I'm not saying that everyone who wants to be a streamer right now should quit their jobs and just stream because that's not smart. You should
Right.
ease into it if you ever want to do it. But yeah, it's just a very scary boomer question that
Big relate.
teachers and parents would ask growing up. So
But I do want to agree with Dux from the chat when he says NFL broadcasting. I can totally see Tristan streaming and casting some NFL
eh,
games.
nah, I think with right now, so I pay attention to it, right? And there are
Yeah.
times where I'll hear sports commentary and I'll just be like, "Oh God, this is so bad." Um, like it can be bad. Actually, last night I was watching USA versus Canada's World Cup qualifying game, and the commentary was bothering me so much, and the gameplay was bothering me so much. And I told my girlfriend that all of it was like low Elo Legends. It was just like
Oh man. Oh yeah.
triggering. But anyways, shoot, what
Yeah.
was I saying? Oh yeah, I mean, okay, I think there probably would be positions if all my viewers hate me to maybe branch out into other esports.
Right.
But I don't think that they would take some dude who sat in his ass for however many years to commentate sports. Usually, people who are commentating sports either have been doing it for a very long time
Right.
and have like a big resume, or shoot, what was the question? What was I going to say? Oh yeah, or they're a former athlete. So I doubt I'll ever do sports.
Yeah. Okay. Well, me and Dux will just stream. Don't worry about it.
There you go.
Um. Okay. So let's talk a bit about your actual content on like the content that you like to do on stream. What's like your favorite bit of content? Like what's like what do you look forward to the most? If
Can
there
I
is
say it
one.
depends?
Yeah, you could go ahead. That's I've been
It
accustomed to that for
depends.
the past year now.
Yeah, it depends. Like I really like when Hidden Cups roll around. That's probably Hidden Cup's probably my peak enjoyment.
Okay.
Because of the level that is always on display, the amount of time I put into scheming and testing the maps. Like there's a lot that goes into it, and then so there's a big reward. Um, Not even reward and viewership, by the way. I mean like the games themselves and the
Right.
guessing and everything is really fun. Um, but I mean, the reason I alternate things is just because of the need to not burn myself out in a certain aspect. So community games are special because Lowy the Legends is special, and expert games is special because Lowy the Legends is special. So I don't really have a favorite. Um, I'd say the most work nowadays is definitely community games because while they've always been the most work, to set up a system, to get everyone into the game, talk to everyone at the same time, hope the game actually works, things like that, is tough. But it's also produced some legendary games over the years. So
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't like Low Legend what you look forward to the most. Like to be honest,
uh,
as a new viewer, when I
yeah,
think T90, I think Low Legend. As someone new to the
okay,
scene, that's what I think
yeah.
about when I think of you.
That's actually, I think that's somewhat recent, and actually, I think that's becoming my most popular content overall. And I do like Elo Legends because I can be super dumb. like I could see a scout and a spearman sitting there, and I just like create some weird scenario, and just be stupid and silly. So I do like that. But if I had to do that all the time, that
that's
would
a
get old
fish.
quick.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I remember it was like sometimes I'm just there and I'm like, I just feel some Elo Legends, man. I remember it was like 3 days ago. I was watching some, and I think to myself, man, this is just so dumb, but I am having so much fun at the same time. This is
right,
just like it's magic.
right, yeah. That's like the thing is you have. So what I think Elo Legends does is it humanizes players in the game. Whereas if you watch experts, you're just like these guys are essentially robots who do everything right. And then if I play and make a mistake, that's a bad thing. But what I want to do with Elo Legends is I want you to realize, who cares? Just go play, and you lose 2 villagers, you can laugh about it. You can have a good time. You can be creative with stuff. And that's kind of what Elo Legends, I think, has done for a lot of people. And it's also not as stressful or not as anxiety inducing as competitive play can be sometimes too. So
Yeah. Was there like a specific genesis for Elo Legends? Was it just something that happened, or did you like think about it and, or was
this is a good question. This is the best question you've asked me yet. I'm wondering if anyone in your chat's gonna know. Yep,
what
Ducks.
is
You
this?
can't. Okay, I'm sorry. Ducks basically is like
Okay, we
locked in
got
the
a ban.
T90 stream
We got a
basement.
ban,
He's been
Ducks.
there for everything. Okay, so amazing learn. So I actually gonna search that amazing learn. So it's back in the Voobly days. Let's see, 134,000 views. Holy. January of 2019. So amazing learn was 9 months, 8 months before DE came out, and there were no players online, so I did not know what to do. And so everyone in chat was like, "Oh, cast a noob game," and I'm like, "I don't want to cast a noob game." And I casted a noob game, and this one guy said "amazing learn" because he kind of had broken English, and that was what I was going to call the series. And then I realized that wasn't quite as catchy, and then I switched it to Elo Legends.
Wait, what were you
So
gonna call it? I missed that.
amazing learn. Amazing
Oh
learn.
God, that's awful.
Yeah, so
So
that's where it started.
it's really interesting to me that it's a chat that actually sort of like encouraged you to do it. So once again, the community having your back.
Yeah. Maybe that was the case. Maybe I was like, "Yo, chat, let's do this," and everyone
Okay,
groaned and was like, "No," but um,
it's possible.
yeah. So, Force Nothing, the viewers I had back then were all like, "Don't do this. This is ridiculous." And
Right.
I only had 70 people complaining the entire time on the stream, and YouTube comments ripped them a new one. So
Well, I remember the first like one of the first few low elo legends. I remember you used to do
mhm,
like this big disclaimer about it's not about
right,
hate, it's just
yeah.
for the love of the game and sort of like having fun with the players. Were you really receiving like that much of bad backlash on it? Because it seemed like you were going out of your way to sort of convince people that it's fine, it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it was kind of a new concept. It wasn't for the people who knew Age of Empires content. It wasn't really happening a lot, so I felt the need to clarify it. But honestly, I kind of stopped clarifying it because if people genuinely feel when listening to my tone and my words that I'm noob bashing and looking really far, like looking down at these people, I realized that my clarification wasn't going to help
Right.
anyways. So I occasionally look at the comments on YouTube, and so what you can do is you can look at the channel comments. So I just pulled it up right now, like 34 minutes ago. Comment on Tataversio. 1 hour ago, comment on the Legend of Dark Elf. So I'll look at this from time to time because it's actually really fun to see what people are commenting on. And just last night, there was this dude who absolutely was raging at me. Like, I can't believe that you would do this to this
Oh
person. This is so
no.
mean. This guy's just trying to play the game.
Oh no.
And I'm not gonna message the dude, and
Right.
say, hey, like I'm not trying to be mean. We're trying to love, like laugh and have fun and like grow a greater understanding. So, yeah, I stopped the clarifications because again,
Yeah,
the reality is some people are just not going to like that, or some people are just not going to like you in general. Like,
yeah.
they might just maybe I don't put them to sleep. Who knows?
Well, I'm certainly glad I didn't deter you. You know, YouTube comments can certainly be an interesting place sometimes. Um, so have you had the chance to like talk to any of the low elo legenders that you've casted?
Yeah, usually they'll comment on the video and then I'll pin it. Um,
Oh,
so yeah, I think the one which was the Great Onion strategy. I don't know how many people know that one. Um, but the other day, this is a little embarrassing, but the other day I rewatched it because I thought it was so funny. Um, and that guy had commented, and he was the guy who played against the Onion guy. So occasionally I'll see comments. It's always been positive. I've never had someone respond and say, "Hey, like that was really
yeah,
mean of you." It's always like, "Oh my god, that was so
I
funny.
could imagine.
You made this game so much better than it really was." Blah 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 blah. So, I think if people started to get upset, then I would be out of line, right? Like if the people who played the
Yeah, yeah.
game were getting upset, then I'd be like, "Okay, we have to assess what we're doing here."
Do you have any favorite low elo legenders? Any favorites? I know you like to revisit, look for some people, and watch a few of the game and see their
Um,
patterns.
well, there's one thing that I really wish I would have picked up on during the cast, and YouTube called it out. There was this one person. So you know how in the terrain there's sometimes like different bushes that you can't click on, and different things like
Yeah.
grass. So there's this one video real early on where all the starting sheep were sitting in this like grass. And so basically it was like his sheep were feeding. And
What?
I never picked up on it. Yeah, yeah, and
What?
I never picked up on it. That's just like super cute.
Oh
Um,
man.
the sim citying, some of the like weird Loey the Legend logic. Like we
Yeah,
had a
yeah.
guy the other day who would like send his scout forward to the enemy base, and then he'd bring his scout back, and it looked like he was reporting the information to his people. I love that. I love that stuff. So there's been so many. I don't really
Oh
have one in
man, that
particular.
sounds so awesome. Yeah, I think I have like the bushes disabled or something. So I wouldn't have even have caught that. And I know like I think my favorite thing is like when you talk about the houses because they always do something weird with their houses.
Yeah,
So I always
yeah,
look forward to hearing you comment on their house play. You know, the thing that and at low elos, the house play is a big part of a build. That's probably like
yep,
the first thing they learn how to lay out their house. But, okay, it's
yep.
pretty interesting. And of course, so we've mentioned Hidden Cup before. So you are an esports tournament organizer. Um, so it's pretty cool. How did you get into organizing a tournament?
Um, basically, so it was always community run. It still is at this point. Microsoft will sponsor, but there's no like Microsoft tournament.
Okay,
There's
okay.
no Microsoft Age of Empires channel. It's been community driven. And so I actually find it really hard to believe that, and it is true that I think Hidden Cup 1 was the first time I hosted a like competitive tournament. I know I done some other events, but it just got to the point where I was casting a lot of tournaments that were hosted by some others, or Robo was doing some like not actual streamers, and then I had ideas. I was just like,
Okay.
this would be really cool, and so I said to Robo, like, do you want to do this? And then we went about trying to get some money together, and that's kind of how it went. So.
And do you have any favorite moments from any of the Hidden Cups? Like any standout moments to you that you reflect on sometimes?
Um, just the fact that we didn't think that to give them hero names in Hidden Cup 1 is really funny. Like that's how unique the process was, and I didn't have a lot of forward thinking. Hidden Cup 1, we had 12 accounts and they were named either Hidden Cup 1 or Hidden Cup 12. Like, so what would happen is you cast this event and then you're just like, oh God, was that Hidden Cup 7 or Hidden Cup 6 that did that thing yesterday? And you just couldn't remember stuff, which is really, really, really bad. I don't know why anyone watched. But yeah, then Hidden Cup 2, we were like, okay, we got to change the names. And then Hidden Cup 2 happened. But I would say
Right.
some of the special memories from Hidden Cups would just be like Some of the things players did, like when we figured out it was MBL and Hidden Cup 2, that was great. Like I was just like we were a little bit on the fence. Then it's MBL versus Viper. Everyone knows it. That was fun. Um, of course, like the interview process was always really great, and all of them afterwards. But then, of course, also the viewership goals, right? Because
Right.
each and every Hidden Cup, yeah, every Hidden Cup achieved something that really no one felt was truly possible at that time. And I think that also extends up to Hidden Cup 4, because a lot of people felt like, and understandably so, that Hidden Cup 3's 53,000 viewers was because the pandemic had just started. And that's true. There were a lot of people because the pandemic had just started. So, yeah, that means a lot to me. I really like the
Right.
how we're able to kind of push it all with professionalism and then viewership, prize pool, all that stuff.
Yeah, as I think for me, like, what sort of stands out about me to what's about you stands out to me. Wow, I really mixed that up there. Is it's sort of like a variety of like good ideas, with the Elo Legend. I remember like when I saw, I think my first hidden cup was last year was the first one, or was it earlier this? The last one was this year or last year? I think earlier this year, right? The last hidden
Yeah,
cup.
yeah. Hidden Cup 4 was March. Yep. 6 months
So
ago.
that was my first hidden cup. And I remember I was watching,
Okay.
I was like, oh man, this is actually excited because I'm now learning about all the pros. Because,
Yeah.
over the last year, I've been learning about all the pros. And now all of a sudden, I don't know who anyone is. And they're like, wait, what? And I remember watching and trying myself to figure out who they are. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, this is like a whole meta game around the
Yeah.
tournament. And I was like, genius. Like a stroke of genius. So, yeah, so for me, that's sort of you as a caster and as an entertainer, it's sort of like the variety of what you've been able to accomplish. And I think you do another tournament, right? There is a 2v2 tournament that you do at the end of the year and more
Yeah,
around.
2v2 World Cup. 2v2 World Cup. The last one was November of 2020. So like 11 months ago. Uh
Yeah,
and the original concept was not mine. It was hosted by Nacho, who's a Latin American streamer.
right.
Um and I remember casting that, and viewers really enjoyed it. I really liked it because most team game tournaments are just like you get the best players, you smush them together, and then you kind of okay, I know who's going to win, blah blah blah. But like
Right.
the 2v2 World Cup was a little more interesting, I felt, even though you have like some good teams there as well. So basically, I contacted him because I didn't want to steal his thunder and host it and get all this money from Microsoft
Right, right.
and be like 2v2 World Cup's coming back, and he's be like, what? Like I started this, you know.
Right.
Um, and so he's a nice guy. He's got a great community, and so we kind of like co-hosted that.
Oh, very
And
nice.
I went to Microsoft, was like, "Yo, we want to make this happen." So yeah, that's the other event.
That's awesome. And so that was sort of like bringing something back from the past. Are there any other like older ideas or events that you think we want to see again? Maybe even if you don't host it, if somebody else hosts, what do you
I
think would be interesting?
I think it would be a very bad idea to say that right now.
Okay, well that's fine.
Well, okay, it's not the biggest deal, right? I've got some ideas, but like, so the way the tournament thing's going on right now, okay, is that everyone's just been like in a flurry, right? Because the way it works with streams is for a lot of people, they're going to get the most viewership and support if they host an event. So it's
Right.
like a race to an event. Where can we find space? And that's not something that I'm loving, because I feel like, as I mentioned earlier in the interview, I feel like if there's a little bit more space, each event would be people would have like a little bit of time to rest, and then they're like, "What's the next event?" There's a lot of focus. It's not like there's a lot of individual focus on each event, right?
Yeah.
So, I got some fun ideas, and I'm not saying that other people are gonna go swipe it, but I'm
Well,
gonna
I know what
keep a
you mean.
lid on
I know
that
what you
stuff.
mean. That's
I'm
fine.
gonna
That's
keep a
fine.
lid on that stuff, because I there will be some big changes and some big things I want to do. So
Yeah, well, I'm certainly looking out for it. That sort of begs the question of like when AoE 4 is coming out. I don't want to go into AoE 4 just yet, I think. Um,
okay,
but as you touched on some of the, the sort of like the more issues in tournament organizing. I remember I did the debate with Nelson and Nilly. I think it was like what 6 months
I
ago
remember
now.
listening to that. Yep.
Yeah, and we sort of touched on tournaments and sort of like the crampedness of tournaments, and it was the first time that I actually realized that there were there are some issues in the amongst tournament organizing that I'm not necessarily like aware of because I haven't been around long enough.
Okay.
Can you sort of like maybe educate me and some of us who are a bit newer?
I mean, okay, so first off, I remember listening to their opinions on it, and I think we kind of disagree in some ways. Myself and Nilly, of course, we're good friends and everything. It's a lot better now, and I think it will be better because now actually Nilly is in charge of the calendar essentially. So,
Oh, nice.
in theory, the way it works is you go to Nilly and you say, "Hey, I want this event to happen," and Nilly will be like, "Okay, we're gonna try and aim for this. Does that work?" In theory, is going to be some space there, but it's a really complicated topic because, from like a player's perspective, what have they always wanted to do? They want to play for money and justify their being a pro. Like we,
Yes.
especially when we don't have a lot of full timers. So it's a complicated topic because, like for me, I'm over here saying I think each event would be more enjoyable and higher level if we had a bit more spacing and it wasn't just a flurry. But then at the same time, players might want to always have something every second, right? So I not going to name drop, but like I spoke to a few players about my thoughts on this, and they're basically like, I'm absolutely exhausted. But if events keep happening, I kind of have to play. I've got the
Right.
skill, and um, and so I kind of feel as though that my outlook has been over the last year is that it's a short term gain, uh, but maybe long term hurt if we
Right.
continue to cram event after event after event after event because viewers are going to be less excited for each one. Viewers are going to want to break away from the game. Uh, Players are not going to bring their highest level because they didn't have time to train or they didn't have the energy to train. Those types of things. So my input is I would like a little bit more balance,
Mm-hmm.
but it's tough because like let's say you wanted to host a tournament. With my logic, maybe we'd be like, hey, sorry, not going to do another tournament on the official calendar, and that's not what I want. So I think
Right.
what
Right.
I've had to decide on with like my content is I've got to be choosy now, right? So there's going to be events, and I can't personally commit to having the energy level and the interest in every single event, which is kind of new for me. I always did everything, so
Yeah. Yeah. Well, well, that's actually pretty interesting as a new viewer hearing this. So thank you for your thoughts on that. Do
sure.
you think we're heading in like the right well, maybe the right direction isn't the right word, but do you think we're heading to a comfortable place and sort of like alleviating the sort of the issues?
You mean in terms of like the spacing of events, or
Yeah,
just in
sort of like
general? In general.
well, the problems towards the viewers and players in terms of like burnout. Um, do you see it heading in a positive direction, or you're not sure that we're really solving the issue yet?
I mean, we just had a 2v2 World Cup or 2v2 Empire Wars duo where the players had to play their semifinals and the finals on the same day, and they were
Right.
visibly exhausted in the interview. And then some of those players in the interview have to fly to a different country like
Yeah.
3 or 4 days afterwards. Like, so yeah, I think this month was a pretty clear example of like, holy crap, let's take a step back and assess the spacing of events.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
so, but yeah, I think in terms of general, which I think is the greater question, like, are we taking a step forward in terms of general esports with age? I think what I just mentioned is a really important factor, but I kind of like honestly feel as though our esports right now is giving an image. Okay, our esports is kicking ass compared to the quality of the game. I
Nice.
don't know if that makes sense. Like,
I
like,
think.
like there could be instances where a game is amazing, and then the esports is garbage. I think we're the opposite. I think the game Definitive Edition is the best version the game has ever seen, But like Microsoft must be loving life because the game has so many issues,
A lot
and
of
yet there's still so many viewers. Like the lobby systems, dude. Like the lobby systems are breaking constantly. The restore is not working. Like these are basic things. So I really hope that the game continues to improve because the esports we're chugging away. I just really hope that the game continues to get invested into.
Okay. So yeah, so I think that kind of leads us into the AOE general, more AOE related opinions,
Okay.
a bit away from more like Twitch and streaming in general. So I think that's been on my mind. Hold on, just taking another note here. Is Age of Empires 4 is coming up. What predictions or what thoughts are you having for in terms of what AoE 4 will mean to the AoE franchise as a whole, and what it could do for AoE 2, whether it really takes away from viewers, or it just introduces more RTS people, which kind of booms AoE 2. Where do you see things going?
Yeah, so I think the final thing you mentioned will be true. I think that a lot of people will say AoE 4, and they would not have been aware that AoE 2 is thriving right now and is around. So I think that AoE 2 will benefit from AoE 4, regardless of if AoE 4 is a disaster or if it's amazing. I do foresee some people who currently are in the Age of Empires 2 scene maybe falling in love with AoE 4, but probably not a lot. Like I think if anything, players might play both.
Right.
And that's kind of where I'm at. Like as a content creator, I'm going to focus on both, and then 3 months in, we'll see what my passion looks like for it.
Right.
Because as I stated earlier, I think I need to love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I would say because like people have always asked me if AoE 4 is going to kill AoE 2. So the answer to that I think is no. But I would not have said this a few months ago, but I genuinely think I have some concerns over if Microsoft will continue massive interest, or if they even have massive interest now in DE
Right.
after AoE 4 comes out. I say this because, like, I mean, on paper, so I happen to know Microsoft what they want to support tournaments in the next year, right? So there's no concerns there. But in terms of developing the game, I have my concerns because if you look the after this most recent patch, like every patch, we had issues. The lobby systems
Yeah.
weren't working. Ranked queue wasn't working. There were not even a tweet from Age of Empires, not a Facebook post, absolutely nothing. But they're tweeting about Age of Empires 4. Oh, but you can pre-order Age of Empires 4. And so I kind of worry that, like, from the dev perspective, that maybe, and I know that there's different teams working on different things, but based on everything that's happening on paper, I have my concerns that maybe like a year down the line, 2 years down the line, maybe the game isn't worked on as much. So
Right.
that is a concern, but based on my conversations with Microsoft, they're, and I'm extremely honest with them. I do tell them when things are screwed up, and they appreciate that. But yeah, I got my long-term concerns, I guess.
Yeah. I think I've also been starting to get worried. Because if AoE 4 does well enough, maybe they just want to, because studios make a lot of promises, and then reality should sort of change trends, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So I
Well,
myself am worried about what will happen to DE.
the other thing is, I don't. I have extreme concerns over the state that Age of Empires 4 will be in upon launch.
Oh God.
And I will say this because I was not in any of the betas because they would not
Oh.
give me access to the beta, which is a whole nother thing, which I'm just like, okay, all right.
That's a bit weird.
That was the whole thing. So, anyways, they I think recently announced they wouldn't be like a scenario editor and like some real
Yeah,
basic
that was
things
rough.
upon launch. Like
No global
it'd be a
queue.
very Microsoft thing to have people pre-order the game and release the game, and then like they did with DE, have the first 3 to 6 months be kind of crappy and then eventually improve upon it. So, who knows? Who knows? I really hope, just to be clear, I really hope AoE 4 is amazing. I would love for AoE 4, to be another game I love like AoE 2, and I could bounce back and forth. That would be sick.
That would be sick.
For viewers, for players, for fans, everything. I want both to be good, but we'll see.
Yeah, so I suppose that sort of leads into, some very so you didn't play the AoE4 beta? The last one that was like a month ago. You actually didn't play it? Well,
Okay.
not that you would you given
hold-
access? Not if you played it. You would given access to it?
Dude, I've signed so many NDAs over the years, so I'm
Oh,
trying to
God.
well, no, hold on, listen.
All right.
Nothing happened. So I don't see how talking about this is necessarily breaching an NDA when I didn't get access to anything. Long story short, I tried to do all the stuff that you had to do to get access.
All right.
Tweet went out, it's like check your inbox, blah blah blah, get the beta, and I didn't get it. So
Oh,
it
no.
there are a couple people on the community team, very responsive, very nice. And so I was like, hey, like, hope you're doing well, blah blah blah. I actually did all these things. I didn't get access to the beta. I was wondering if I could get a code so I could give feedback on the game and try and give some input on the game. And they were like, sorry, just because you're a streamer, we can't give you special treatment. And it
Oh,
was like
no.
this crazy PR stuff. And I was like,
Right.
it didn't make me feel very good. I mean, I don't, if it was if it was a disc version, right? Like they had to take off the shelf and they only had 5,000 discs. I wouldn't want some poor soul to get their disc taken away to give it to me. That's not what I was asking for. The digital key. You can make as many as you want.
That's
They
true.
pretty much chose not to make a compromise
Yeah.
to give me access to it. And so I didn't fight it because I didn't want to be a jerk.
Right.
And then I turns out I don't know. It's a whole thing. So
Yeah.
I hope I get access if there's a future beta, but that's the situation, man. I was just like really? Like I've literally dedicated the last 8 years of my life to Age of Empires. And you don't I
Oh,
can't
man.
record it, obviously.
Yeah.
I can't do anything like that. I can't talk about it. I'm like, you don't want me in? Like, okay. So
Yeah, it sounds a bit rough. It does sound a bit
yeah,
rough.
but
It is what it is.
yeah, it's weird. Again, I really hope the game goes forward and does well.
Yeah. Well, I'm not even sure what I could even say about AoE4. I think I'll just kind of move on a bit. So
Yeah,
I mean, we
it's
sort
hard
of
to say. There's a lot of
Yeah.
things up in the air on that, right? So
Yeah. But I know I do wish them the best, and I was saying in forums like, delay the game, man. If you need to take another year, I don't want it to be another like what was that game last year from the Witcher 3 studio, the one.
dude, you're asking the wrong person.
I forget us AoE people. Well, anyway, there was this big game that released late last year, and it was like so awful that there were like lawsuits and shit, and it was like one of the
Mhm.
biggest anticipated releases of all time. Yeah, so it seems like we've had just in game development of late, a lot of hyped games being released and like
Yep.
severely under Cyberpunk, right? Cyberpunk 2077. If AoE4 goes away, Cyberpunk 2077, it could be trouble for the
The
franchise.
thing
But
is, like, it's so common, and it happened with DE as well. That's what's crazy. Like DE,
Yeah.
you had units running through walls.
I heard about
You had
that.
massive lag. You had all these issues at the start. But the thing is, from these companies' perspectives, they're like, we want to make some money on it before we have it at 100%, which is so backwards.
Certainly
And
strange.
so it's a tricky spot because when you're really in love with the game, you're kind of stuck. Like Age of Empires 2 DE is the best version of AoE 2 by far. But like with the lobby systems, for example, you're like, well, they're gonna sell more expansions to fix that. Like, what do we do?
Yeah.
So and then like they're making money. That's their number one. So you just kind of cross your fingers and hope that improvement comes from it. So I don't again I have no info on really if it's going to be a disaster or not.
Right.
I think AoE 4 is probably going to have some kinks similar to DE's launch, but Microsoft does seem to be, at least with DE, updating it and trying to introduce new content. So I would expect for AoE 4, whatever the starting place is, it's going to be much better after many months.
I joined the game like last year when a lot of what the bugs I heard about, like when they're like some of the things I heard about like crazy. Could you just walk me through what was happening back in DE in 2019 at launch? Like what sort of things were you guys encountering?
Lots of lag,
Oh my
lots of
god.
lag. And what was weird was, like Dave wouldn't be lagging, and then I would lag, but yet I'd have like the beastly PC. Dave was playing on his old PC where he had to put frozen French fries on it. Um, the biggest thing, which is still isn't great today, is like they did not prioritize spectating at all. At NAC 2 or whatever NAC was on DE, we literally had to tape down a hotkey for fast forward for spectating because it would slow down. We had tape on our keyboards because the game was that bad. It would show, like, the player scores.
Yeah.
It had a line like people were defeated in a 1v1 game for months.
Whoa.
Yeah, like there's so many different. It was just like clear that they didn't think about or test some stuff, right? So, and then eventually this is the thing. Eventually, those things got worked on. Eventually, things improved. Capture age wasn't available for a while. Eventually, that became a thing. So, that's the good news, is it is growing. But yeah, it was really, really frustrating the first 3 to 6 months in particular. I'm really glad, like they could have, just like the HD edition, said here you go, and then peaced out. They could have, and they didn't. So
Yeah,
I'm
okay,
at
well,
least
that's
I'm
nice.
at least grateful for that.
Yeah, so as somebody new, like I don't know, would I have stuck around for all that? Because I didn't know the game yet to know if I liked it or not. So I don't even
You
know
weren't
if I,
addicted yet.
yeah, I wasn't like addicted. So if I was getting all these weird, I didn't even know if I would have stuck. I'd be like, well,
Yeah,
I guess it's just too old for me.
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
But like I said, the important thing, like I think it's an absolute dream to have everything be perfect when a game is sold. Not going to happen nowadays, but at least if there's going to be updates and communication after that, I'll take it.
and if I could just ask you, do you anticipate a continuation of this support? Like, what's in your heart? Do you think we're gonna be all right? They're gonna continue to support it, or do you think a year from now we're not gonna see spec chat stuff
Spec chat.
fixed, the lobby stuff fixed, the dream list of just bug fixes? They anticipate never getting those things fixed?
Dude, this is like such a question that's like so important to me as an individual. Like
I
like
could
Age of
imagine.
Empires is my life, dude.
I could imagine.
Yeah, so okay, so as I said, I really think Microsoft want to continue to support the game.
Right.
I believe strongly and or know that there will still be solid prize pools for tournaments going forward, which is also very important. I have seen nothing from them that makes me think they're gonna rework massive things. Like Spec
Okay.
Chat's the meme, Spec Chat's great, but the reason Spec Chat doesn't work because they didn't build the game to include that. That seems like a pretty big deal. A lot of people speculate it's other reasons, but I'm pretty sure that's it. Like the lobby systems, dude. Like the lobby system we have for DE is the exact lobby system pretty much that was on HD. They use the same system. It's been
Oh
2 years. And I see them having to put a lot of time and work into fixing that. And from a business side, we have a community now which loves to buy which have bought the game already. They're not going to make more money fixing some of these issues. They're going to have
right.
to spend more money. And so, like, truthfully, I think we might be stuck with some of these annoying little problems with DE
Okay.
for a very long
Okay.
time, if forever. I hope it's not the case. But yeah, man. And so that makes me question things too, like in terms of my future. Like, should I bet that Age of Empires 2 DE is going to be the future? Like, is this
Right.
going to continue to improve? I have to think about that as a content creator and a guy who's on it all the time. So it's tricky, but yeah, we're kind of in the middle. It's no longer no support. It's not full support. We've got like real solid middle support, but the priorities might not be being addressed as quickly as we'd all like.
Yeah. And so I wasn't around for the Voobly days, but I do hear that their lobby system was preferable. Was it preferable to the E that you'd say?
Yes and no. It very much looked like the system was created in 2001. It was like a very old looking program. But like the lobby itself was so much better. Yeah. Like, so let's say you were going to play Ducks in a 1v1.
Mm-hmm.
You have your game room. So I could see you're in the game room, join the game room, and sit there as a spectator. So I know, like right now, I don't even know when people launch. I'm constantly hitting refresh, or someone has to do different things.
Yeah, it's
So
kind
from
of
a
annoying.
spectator perspective, we're just sitting there waiting for you guys to start. When you finish your game, you come back to the same lobby you were in before you started your game. So for tournaments, you just create one lobby, set the settings, and you're good. All the spectators are there. The
Right.
players don't have to redo their lobby settings. They don't reset. You're just back there. Static lobbies are huge. Like, have you ever played a really good team game? I know you complain about team games on your Twitter all the time, but have you ever played a really good team game and thought, "Damn, I want another one of those.
Oh,
I
hell
want a
yeah, all
rematch."
the time.
Yeah, you can't.
And that never
You're
happens.
stuck. You just have to click Q. Even if, and the worst thing is like if you're playing with your friends, you don't even go back to the same party with your friends. Like back on the Voobly, in the Voobly days, you went back in the same game room with everyone. And it's like such a basic concept. And it's just sad that, we paid for a remake that doesn't have something like that. So,
Yeah. One of my biggest critiques of the development of the game is that a lot of these issues are very not noob friendly. So when you have new players
Mhm.
that experience, like it's very easy for a new player to experience like just one or two things that set them off, and they just go and play something else. They just play another game just because it's optimized a bit better,
Yeah, okay.
Because sometimes I get issues just seeing games in the lobby, and I'm like, what if I was like a week new and I couldn't even see a lobby game? Like, what would I wait here for an hour, or would I just go play Call of Duty or something? I think I'd just
Yeah,
leave.
that's tough. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, so anyways, like, it's tricky. I think like maybe some of this stuff might just be happening. Like they might be addressed, but it's just going to be a lot slower than we
Yeah,
want.
we'll see.
But when I was in the beta for DE, I was feeding them all I could to try and get some of the things that we don't have currently. But again, to be fair, the game is so much
Yes.
better than every other version. Like
Yeah,
quality
that's
of
what I
life
said, yeah.
features, servers, things like that is just incredible. So
Mm. By the way, how much time do I have with you again? 'Cause I want to gauge the
uh,
rest of my.
I'm making dinner tonight.
Okay.
And it's 7:30. So I would
Okay.
say maybe another like 10, 15 minutes
Okay. Okay.
before my girlfriend, starves to
Right.
death. So
Okay, so let me skip the rest of AoE opinions here. Um, can I just let's talk a bit about some of T90 outside of outside of AoE. Like what do you do
sure.
when you're not by the computer? Or what do you do when you're not loading up Age of Empires or Twitch? Do you have any like other
Um
hobbies, interests?
you would think I don't have a lot of time. I would say like nowadays I really like to find some time to go for a bike ride or a walk. Get really, 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 really warm, and then like go to the beach or jump in a pool. That's like the Florida life. I really like that. I
Nice.
I occasionally will play other video games, but not too much.
Hmm.
I started reading again recently, so that's
Okay,
that's
nice.
something. But like for me, it's mainly Age of Empires focus, and then
Right.
a few other things here or there, but nothing too crazy. I don't have any real like this was my hobby before it was my job, so now
Yeah,
this is my main focus. So
as an islander, I feel you on the beach thing.
yeah, right, exactly.
And any books, any interesting books you want to plug? A book that you read recently is
Oh,
like,
dude, this
yeah,
is
shouldn't
no, I'd rather not because
I?
everyone's more sophisticated than me, and they're
Oh,
gonna
you've
judge
been
me.
reading
So
Twilight, haven't you?
no, no,
Just
no,
kidding. I'm
no.
just kidding.
But yeah, I'll keep a lid on that. Let's see if I finish the book first, and
Yeah,
then
no
maybe I'll
problem, no
tell
problem.
viewers.
Okay, and you've done some traveling. What other countries have you hit up?
Let's see. In Europe, France, Switzerland, Germany, England. Those are the countries I actually spent like time in.
Nice.
Am I missing one? Not Italy. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then apart from that, I have been get to Canada, but that's basically America's top hat. It's basically the same. People are just a little nicer and
Yeah.
things are spaced out more. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I have had the experience of being in a lot of different states.
Right.
And like America is very different. It's almost like you're going to different countries. So
Yeah.
that I've really
Exactly.
enjoyed. And there was a period there where I was in Europe so much, and my family member told me like, why don't you experience some of these different states? Because it's closer, and you don't need to fly across a gigantic sea. So
Right.
I've really enjoyed my time in like California, North Carolina. I of course lived in Pennsylvania, Georgia, those areas, but still a lot in the bucket list. Like I'd absolutely love to go to Colorado. Wyoming was beautiful. I'd love to go back there. So, but I'm a little like a teensy bit like traveled out these days. Not that I traveled too much, but just like moving. I'm going to Germany. I want to like sit in my house, Age of Empires, most of the time for another 6 months before I think about traveling.
Any countries you're interested in, new countries that you're interested in going to?
Countries.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to go to Japan and Australia, but they're also
Okay.
like you've got to commit if you fly that far.
Right.
And I'm not at a stage in my life where I feel I can just go there for 2 weeks. Like
Okay. Yeah.
streaming is a very important thing in my life, and
Alright.
leaving for 2 weeks is just not
Yeah.
doable.
See what you mean.
I wouldn't want to do that either. Spain would be nice. Yeah, someone said Spain. Spain would be beautiful. The thing is, I'd like to experience Germany a little bit more because every
Yeah.
time I go, it's just nonstop Age of Empires.
Right.
I haven't really got to experience it too much. So, but yeah,
Anything
Spain would be cool.
anything you're looking forward to doing in Germany? They're going to be there in a few days.
Yeah, it's all about age, man.
Ah,
It's all about
you
age.
just said all you do when you go over there is age.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's more so the time I'm there. Like I get
Right.
there, you like have a practice session and a dinner, and then you have the event the next day. So there's not a ton of time to really experience too many things. I would love to drink a lot of beer, and the most important thing about this meetup for me is just seeing my friends who are the players, for the first time in a while. So that'll be fun. That's always the best part.
Okay, very nice. Yeah, I know, meeting up as a community has been a very enjoyable part of the AoE 2 experience. Any new people you're gonna see that you haven't seen before that you're kind of looking forward to? I don't know if there are any new faces over there in Germany.
Well,
you
if
haven't met
Yo and
already.
ACCM, well, no, I met Yo before. I'm really bummed ACCM can't go. I would have loved to have met him. He's one of my
Okay.
favorite players, and he's very, very nice guy. Dogao, I think, is the only one I haven't met before.
Oh, okay, nice.
Oh no, and Capoch. I have not
Oh,
met
nice.
Capoch before, so
Very
those are
nice.
the two.
The
Oh no,
TVN
and
Brazilian.
Vinchester. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, and Vinchester.
Manchester, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very good. Okay. You got a favorite food?
Favorite food. Oh, it's tricky, dude.
Pizza guy, you're a burger guy, like
I
pasta.
go through stages.
Okay.
I had a big Indian food kick for a while. I
Ooh.
loved Indian food. But then I ruined it for myself. I also loved sushi for a while. Then I ate it too frequently, and then I ruined it for myself. And then I loved Mexican food after I moved to Florida, because Mexican food down here is amazing, lots of spicy stuff, and ruined it for myself.
Right.
So I don't even know where I'm at right now. I'm in a like home cooking type of a situation right
That's
now.
very
So
nice.
whatever I make at home.
So in Trinidad, there's a dish. So we have a very large like Indian population down here. I'm part
Yeah.
Indian myself. So one of our local dishes
It's
is
probably so spicy.
yeah, it's something called roti. If you're ever in
Okay.
Canada again, you could probably get it up there. It's called roti. It's like one
Wait,
of what's
why
one.
would? Sorry, I'm being rude, interrupting you. Why
go on.
would I find it in Canada but not in like southern Florida?
Oh, because Canada has the largest Trini population outside of Trinidad.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
actually in Toronto. So there are a lot of Trini restaurants in Canada, actually. So if you ever go up there, you could actually
Interesting.
find Trini cuisine fairly easily. Yeah, it's pretty. And England has
No.
like the second biggest too.
I just Googled it. It seems like there's a few places close by. It might not be
Really?
Canadian quality, but I will maybe put that on the list someday.
Definitely, get yourself some roti, boy. It's every foreigner that comes down here, we always feed them roti and they always love it. I don't know how it's gonna be in the US, but you know.
Yeah. We'll see.
All right, anyway, and you're a big you're a sports guy?
Yeah, and that's changed over the years. So, falling back in love with soccer a little bit because Manchester United has made some big moves, and I'm a big Ronaldo fan. But truthfully, I'm more so about hockey and the UFC nowadays. So hockey is probably my favorite sport, and then UFC, it depends on the month, but those would be the things that I typically follow when it comes to sports.
Okay, okay. And I asked you about career already. I think I'll skip other games. Are you a movie guy? You watch TV?
Yeah, I I've been watching a few more movies this year, so it's been good. I also was a sheltered child, so I'm catching up on a lot of stuff.
Oh, nice. Any movie you're looking forward to seeing that you haven't seen yet?
Ah, no, new movies suck.
Ah,
New movies, new
ah.
movies. New I it's very rare that there's a new movie and I enjoy it. Maybe I'm
Right.
too much maybe I play a 21-year-old game, so maybe it's just that mentality.
Just a vintage kind of
Um
guy. That's fine.
yeah, but like I haven't been too impressed with newer movies to be honest. I don't pay attention to like, oh, this is coming out too much. Typically
Right.
I see it's out and I'm like, oh, I might want to watch that.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of my favorite movies would be like I think Django Unchained is probably my
Right.
favorite
Oh,
movie ever.
nice. Yeah. Very good.
Um, so there's some other masterpieces out there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I have less than 10 minutes left with you. I have two questions here that I've seen from the audience that I will ask. So Movable 35, he wants to know the origins of T90. How did he get the name?
Oh, that was a shoe. Yeah.
What an
Yeah.
answer.
So it was a
Oh,
shoe.
that's a
Yeah. If you
shoe.
Google T90 lasers,
Right.
in fact, if I get any more popular, Nike might try and sue me. Kappa. But yeah,
Oh, shit.
it's a Nike cleat. And I
Right.
used to wear them all the time. And then so my gamer tag, I didn't know what to name myself, so I just named myself T90. But I was like, dude, I had the balls, the cleats, the
Yeah.
shorts, the socks, everything T90 growing up.
And Vorian asked, when's the Florida meetup? You gonna have one?
I really want to do meetups. Like the last time there was a meetup was over 2 years ago, and it was a
Oh,
European one. So for my stateside fans, I'd love to do that someday, but
Mhm.
not during COVID, not this year, maybe next year.
Right. We have JK Readable in the chat says the T90 know that Deadpool Alligator's brother was working on AOE4, and he's a reason why he didn't get into the beta. I don't know if that's
I did
I don't
know
know the
that.
context of that.
Yeah, the context is you don't need to know the context.
Okay, okay, no problem at
That's
all.
funny. Yeah.
Big Malo asks, Nova AOE has started using drawing tablets and live casting. Do you see this being more incorporated into the casting scene?
Does he mean like kind of like drawing arrows and whatnot on the screen? Is that what he means?
Big Malo, is that what you mean? Drawing arrows on the stream? I'll give him a sec to
Like for
answer.
example, you want to talk about positioning, so you kind of like
Right.
draw like, hey, go this direction.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that's what he means. Um,
Yeah, Dave says that's what he does. Oh,
okay.
and welcome to the
Okay.
stream, Dave.
I don't think it's the future.
Right.
I don't think it's necessarily bad. I feel like that's something that people I haven't really seen his use of it, right? I feel like the situations where that would be needed is very, very few compared to just using your mouse.
Right.
So, so I guess my worry if like that were to be, if I were to be a viewer, is that it might be used too frequently. But
Okay,
I think it's nice. I don't think it's the
Okay.
future, but I think it's a nice addition.
Sounds like nice
so.
variety, actually.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can be
so I
good.
have about 5 minutes left with you. So I will be moving on from the audience questions. I know people are normally accustomed to like an hour of audience questions. We're not gonna do that today. So the last thing I like to do on the stream, I don't know if have you ever seen the minigame I play at the end? Have you been experienced? Okay,
No, I
great.
was not told. Okay.
Oh, that's nice. So I have a little the last thing I like to do on the stream is a little mini game. It's rapid fire questions. You have like 4 seconds to answer. It's yes or no questions, like what's your favorite civ? You just say your
Oh,
favorite civ,
alright.
it's simple stuff. I will move on though, if you take too long.
Sure.
Okay,
No,
ready?
yeah, go for it.
Remove one civ from the game.
Depends.
Remove one unique unit from the game.
Depends. I'm kidding. I was gonna do that the whole time, but I felt bad. Remove one civ from the game. Kumans.
What's your favorite civ?
Huns.
What's your favorite tech?
Recurve bow.
Trebuchets or catapults?
Trebuchet.
What country would you add to AoE 2 if given the choice?
Not what Reddit says.
Would you rather fight one angry large boar or 10 angry goats?
Definitely the boar.
Favorite pro player?
Not only is this bad for me to answer for my reputation.
Well, it's too late now. Favorite streamer?
I don't know if I have one.
Favorite
streamer. Dave.
Burgundians or Sicilians?
Burgundians.
Would you rather to never be able to pick your civ or never be able to pick your map?
Definitely. I'd rather not be able to pick the civ.
Right. Reddit or AoE zone?
Reddit.
Okay. Remember, you could skip these questions at any time. You don't have to answer.
Okay.
Right?
That's fine.
So, Joan of Arc?
Or I didn't hear the second part.
Yeah, Joan of Arc.
Yes.
The color blue or the color cyan?
Blue.
2v2s or 4v4s?
2v2s.
Name one AoE pro you can take in a fist fight.
Can I say all of them?
Definitely. That's also Levy's answer, I think. We asked him if he could beat Hera, and he was like offended that we even asked. Like of course.
That I would pay good. I'd pay more money for that than a show match between them right now. Let's put it that way.
Pick one player to never lose a game against ever again. You always beat them.
Huang.
Who is hotter between a Huskarl and an Eagle Warrior?
Hotter as in like attracted to?
Yeah. What's this one? Huskarl, Eagle Warrior. No?
Eagles. They show a little bit more skin.
Okay. Kill, marry, smash.
Oh, boy.
War Wagon, Loom, Aztec Monk.
Pass?
Yeah. Arena or Mega Random?
Mega random.
Deathmatch or Empire Wars?
Empire Wars.
Regular Nomad or Land Nomad?
1v1s or team games?
1v1s.
That didn't help Nomad.
Fat Slub or Huang?
Ooh. I can't. I love them both. They both belong in the same group.
Low Elo Legends or Hidden Cup?
It's the same thing, but if I had to choose one to get rid of, I'd probably have to get rid of Low Elo Legends.
Age of Mythology or Age of Empires 3?
Both horrible.
StarCraft or Command?
No, mythology.
StarCraft or Command and Conquer?
StarCraft.
Halo or Call of Duty?
Oh, that is difficult. Halo.
Okay, well, that was the last question.
All right.
And my alarm just went off to the 15 minutes that you gave me for the interview. And I do like my guests to leave exactly when they want to. So I do appreciate you spending the time with me. And I think we had a lovely interview. Thank you for the chat. But I would say there was like 2 hours of questions that I had left. So maybe we could do something more in the future after some time has passed. And before it comes out, we have more to talk about. It might be nice to do a follow-up. So, thank you, Tristan. And thank you for Tristan's community as well for joining us. And the video will be up on YouTube. And anybody who wants to see what T90 was like at this moment in time will be able to just pop on there. And, there's also, of course, Nelson's interview. So thank you. And, take care.
Yeah. Glad I could join. One thing to add before,
Yes,
I've watched bits and pieces of your interviews. Have never been able to watch like every second, but I have known that you've been doing this for a while before you contacted me. I I looked at your videos and you totally used my name for clickbait, my friend. It was a conversation with abducted platypus and Ornlu. It's literally just like 30 seconds about Incas. And Ornlu's like, yeah, T90 made that popular. And I thought it was going to be more than that. It was like, nope, that was it.
No, it was
I
a
was like,
meme short.
this
It
guy
was a
knows
meme
what he's
short.
doing here. I see.
Yeah.
Anyways, man, yeah, it was a pleasure. I'm going to go eat. Thank you. And
Well, thank
to the
you.
viewers who
Well, thank
watched,
you for still
hope they
joining me
enjoyed.
even after I memed you.
Nah,
Appreciate
it's fine.
that.
I'm used to it.
All
All right, later, man.
Take care.